Get ready for the action, because Conor McGregor is officially back in the UFC. After a massive 5-year hiatus, the Irish mixed martial artist is stepping back into the cage for a massive showdown against Max Holloway, UFC 329 in Las Vegas. We break down everything you need to know about this highly anticipated comeback fight and why this matchup could redefine the welterweight division. This is the return we have been waiting for. John Jones, and what this high-stakes matchup truly means for the future of heavyweight MMA. And finally, we close with the news on a fighter's journey. We examine why former Brazilian title challenger Mayra Bueno Silva has exited the UFC, tracing her incredible run, her title shot against Raquel Pennington, and her surprising next move. Don't miss a single second of this breaking news. Stay locked in with us for all the latest and greatest. Conor McGregor is set to make his highly anticipated return to the UFC after a 5-year absence from active competition. The Irish mixed martial artist will face Max Holloway in a welterweight bout at UFC 329, scheduled for July 11 in Las Vegas, according to reports from the BBC. This comeback marks the realization of long-standing rumors. Holloway presents a significant challenge, maintaining elite status at lightweight and revisiting their 2013 featherweight meeting, a fight McGregor won by unanimous decision. McGregor's recent history includes a 2021 loss to Dustin Poirier, which resulted in a broken leg. He had previously been scheduled to fight Michael Chandler in 2024, but withdrew just 2 weeks prior due to a broken toe. Since his UFC debut in 2008, McGregor has established himself as a dominant force. His career highlights include winning the interim featherweight title in 2015 and unifying it by defeating Jose Aldo in 13 seconds for the undisputed belt, a UFC title fight record. He also became the UFC's first simultaneous two-weight champion after capturing the lightweight title in 2016. McGregor's overall record stands at 22-6 since his debut, though his career has been marked by controversy, including an 18-month suspension last year for violating the UFC's anti-doping policy due to missing 3 drug tests within a year in 2024. The suspension expired in March. This upcoming fight is significant, as it signals a return for one of the sport's biggest stars. Noi Dung Kai Tight. Dana White, the driving force behind the UFC, was recently featured in an interview with Rich Kleiman on Boardroom Talks, offering profound insights into his career, his philosophy, and his vision for the future of sports. The conversation highlighted White's unique approach to building an industry from the ground up. /N/, the context for the discussion was White's upcoming, highly ambitious event. A UFC fight card scheduled for the South Lawn of the White House on June 14, featuring 4,000 attendees on the lawn and 85,000 at the Ellipse, with over 300,000 ticket applications. This move signals a significant shift, as White overcame past venue limitations to stage a major event at America's most iconic address. /N White's mindset was described as relentlessly forward-looking. When asked about his progress, White stated he does not stop to appreciate his achievements because his focus is always on the next objective. He cited future ambitions, stating that after the Sphere, his next target was the White House, followed by the Moon. N regarding his relationship with President Trump, White framed it through the lens of loyalty, tracing it back to the early struggles of the UFC in 2001. He recounted how Trump showed unwavering support from the very first event, emphasizing that this principle, loyalty in, loyalty out, is the operating system for his entire organization. N in discussing the state of boxing, White was candid about the industry's systemic issues, including corruption and the mentality of businesses shutting down the sport. He expressed confidence in the UFC's trajectory, asserting that the industry's initial skepticism proved wrong. White declared his mission to rebuild boxing from the ground up, setting a 5-year timeline to determine the success of his strategy. N furthermore, White detailed the success of Power Slap, a venture he deemed his most successful in a short timeframe, achieving 1 billion views monthly on social media and generating more sponsorship in its first 2 years than the UFC earned in a decade. This success stemmed from an instinctual ability to spot opportunities, exemplified by his early engagement with grainy videos on Instagram, which allowed him to anticipate massive public interest. Clayman characterized White as a generational, absolutely one-of-one entrepreneur, underscoring his unique status in the sports and entertainment landscape. Gable Steveson is set to make his highly anticipated UFC debut against Alisha Ellison at UFC 329 on July 11th in Las Vegas. The heavyweight bout has been announced and is slated for one of the biggest summer cards in the UFC schedule. Steveson, an Olympic gold medalist and decorated amateur wrestler, enters the octagon with a significant -2,000 betting favorite status, reflecting the high expectations surrounding his transition to professional MMA. Steveson brings an impressive background, including Olympic gold at 125 kilograms, 2 NCAA Division I heavyweight national titles, and 5 All-American statuses prior to his professional career. His brief but impactful cage record includes 3 first-round finishes against Braden Peterson, Kevin Hine, and Hugo Lezama, demonstrating a potent finishing ability. Jon Jones, who has been training Steveson, has publicly touted him as a future champion with immense potential. On the other side of the card is Alisha Ellison, who enters the UFC with a 5-2 professional record and a 0-1 UFC start. While Ellison boasts a 100% finish rate in his wins, including 4 knockouts, his UFC debut loss to Brando Perisic in the first round suggests he may be a highlight reel opponent. Matchmakers believe this debut is tailor-made for Steveson, positioning the fight on a major card against a fighter who is not considered problematic, despite the high odds. The relationship between Steveson and Jon Jones is a key factor in Steveson's preparation. Steveson credits Jones's demeanor and approach for inspiring him, stating he admired how Jones interacted with people and executed his technique. Although some critics, like Daniel Cormier, advised against the training arrangement, Steveson remains undeterred. Leading up to the event, Steveson has a scheduled RAF wrestling match against Alexander Romanov on May 30th. With the talent pool and Steveson's unparalleled wrestling pedigree at heavyweight, the focus shifts to whether he can successfully navigate the transition to the UFC's high-stakes environment. Experts suggest Steveson possesses the necessary formula to reach the top tier, with Jones affirming his belief that he has the potential to become one of the best fighters in the sport. The Ultimate Fighting Championship has officially parted ways with former Brazilian title challenger Mayra Bueno Silva, who has been removed from the active roster. According to social media reports from UFC Roster Watch, Bueno Silva has been released from her contract, or the promotion has chosen not to extend it. The 14-fight Octagon veteran, who competed at the women's flyweight and bantamweight divisions, originally secured her UFC contract through Dana White's Contender Series Brazil, where she defeated Mayana Kellum in just over a minute. Bueno Silva made an immediate impact upon her debut by submitting Jillian Robertson, but her initial UFC run was marked by inconsistency, recording a 1-1 record across her first 4 appearances. Her trajectory shifted dramatically after she moved up to the bantamweight division. Suddenly, Bueno Silva found form, achieving victories over Stephanie Egger, Wu Yanan, and Holly Holm. Her submission victory over Holm initially appeared to be the highlight of her career, though it was later overturned to a no contest after Bueno Silva tested positive for ADHD medication. This strong run earned her a title shot against Raquel Pennington at UFC 297. However, the championship opportunity proved to be the start of a difficult decline. Bueno Silva suffered a one-sided decision loss to Pennington and failed to regain momentum, subsequently dropping 5 consecutive fights to conclude her tenure with the promotion. Her final bout was a competitive decision loss against rising prospect Michelle Montague. Bueno Silva exits the UFC with an official record of 5-7-1, including 1 no contest. Despite the challenging conclusion to her MMA career, Bueno Silva has publicly joked about having a backup plan, proudly referring to herself as the best Uber driver in Brazil.